Have you ever wondered what America would look like if every mortgage, every personal loan, every crushing debt simply disappeared every 7 years? And what if every 50 years land ownership itself was reset to prevent families from falling into permanent poverty and endless economic inequality? Would billionaires still exist? Would generational poverty disappear? Or would the entire economy collapse? Today we're comparing American capitalism with the Old Testament biblical economic system, and by the end, you may discover that the Bible contains one of history's most fascinating economic practices. Now let me be clear, I'm a true believer in capitalism. I'm a red, white, and blue capitalist. America's free market system has produced tremendous innovation, entrepreneurship, medical breakthroughs, and wealth. But whenever I read the Old Testament, I find myself asking, what would it have been like to live under God's Hebrew economic system? Because Israel wasn't socialist, neither was it communist. People owned businesses, people owned livestock, people invested, people bought and sold property. It was still a market economy. But it had something America has never had, a built-in economic reset. What happens to a society when nobody can remain buried in debt forever? Every seventh year came what Scripture calls the sabbatical year, or Shemitah, found in Deuteronomy 15. The Hebrew word literally means release. Creditors were commanded to forgive personal debts owed by fellow Israelites. Debt servants who had sold their labor because of financial hardship were released in the seventh year. Even the land rested. Fields were left uncultivated, and whatever naturally grew became available for everyone, the rich, the poor, even the animals. Think about that. Imagine if every 7 years, student loans, medical debt, personal loans, business failures received a fresh beginning. Would people take greater risks? Would entrepreneurship increase? Or would lenders become far more cautious? But the 7-year cycle wasn't the biggest surprise. Every 50th year came something even more remarkable, the year of Jubilee. According to Leviticus 25, after 7 cycles of 7 years, the trumpet sounded throughout Israel. Then something extraordinary happened. Family land that had been lost because of poverty is returned free of charge to the original family. Indentured servants were released. Entire family inheritances were restored. It was an economic reset unlike anything in world history. Imagine selling family land knowing that in the year of Jubilee it would be returned to your grandchildren. In fact, all land would be returned to the original families. That would completely change how people invested. So why would God create such a system? Because laws like these would have to surpass being merely economical. They would have to be theological. First, God declared himself the true owner. Leviticus 25 says, "The land is mine." People were stewards, not absolute owners. Second, Israel had once been slaves in Egypt. God reminded them, "I delivered you from permanent bondage." Therefore, they were never to create a permanent debtor class among themselves. Third, these laws required enormous faith. Allowing fields to rest meant trusting God's provision instead of endless production. Finally, the entire system reflected God's pattern of Sabbath. Rest wasn't only for owners, it was for workers, the animals, for the land, and even for the economy itself. Now here's the question I've been wrestling with. What kind of impact would a 7-year debt release and a 50-year jubilee have on America today? Would wealth become more evenly distributed? Would fewer families remain trapped in generational poverty? Would billionaires still emerge, or would banks simply stop making long-term loans? Would businesses innovate around the system, or would investment slow dramatically? Economists could debate those questions for years, but one thing is undeniable. God intentionally designed ancient Israel to prevent debt from becoming permanent destiny. Whether you're a capitalist like me, or whether you favor another economic philosophy, the Hebrew system reminds us of one timeless principle: people are more valuable than profits. God cared about productivity, but he also cared about restoration. He valued ownership, but he also valued mercy. Maybe the greatest lesson isn't that America should copy ancient Israel, but that every prosperous society must continually ask, how do we create opportunity without creating permanent hopelessness? Because according to the good book, the greatest investment isn't accumulating wealth. It's giving people another chance for renewal.